Let's switch gears a little bit and let's move away from our discussion of cost and move towards a discussion of revenue and profit. So here's our standard overview slide, which you can read for yourself. That's what we're going to cover in this quick video. So what we're doing is we're looking for supply, and we're trying to build an economic model that will tell us what supply is. So we're going to take our existing model, which is cost curves, and we're going to add revenue and profit to that model. And the big picture question we're trying to answer is, how much will a firm produce, and when will a firm decide not to produce anything at all? And if you were to flip to the back of a textbook and look up a dictionary definition of supply in the glossary in the book, you will find that supply is very, very similar to that last question that's on the slide right now. So what I want to do is I want to start with revenue. Revenue is the money we bring into the business from our business activity. We make something, we turn around and sell it, and we call that our revenue. Sometimes we might call it sales, sometimes we might call it gross receipts. And I always like to take a second to kind of pause here and tell you, one of the things that I do as the ag business professor is I have students who will give me business ideas. Well, not give me, but share their business ideas with me. Here's something I'm going to do. Here's how much money it's going to make me. And what I find is the student usually is talking about the revenue, and they ignore their cost, and by default ignore the profit. Revenue and profit aren't the same thing. Revenue is what we bring in. Profit is what we have left after we pay for all of our cost. So along this line, we got to talk about marginal revenue. So just like marginal cost, marginal revenue is the revenue from the extra. If we do one more thing, if we sell one more thing, if we make one more thing, the marginal revenue is the revenue we get from that one more thing. And I've put a few videos up online that talk about perfect competition. And right here is the real kind of meat of the whole perfect competition situation. When you are a firm, a business, and you're operating in perfect competition, you're a price taker. You have to take the price as given. Here the market price is P. And it turns out that when we have perfect competition, the marginal revenue curve and the average revenue curve and the market price are all the same thing. So the price is the average revenue and the marginal revenue is the price. So the extra revenue you get from selling something is the price. Some textbooks explain it as being a perfectly flat demand curve. In other words, no matter what you want to sell, when you've got perfect competition, you can sell all you want at whatever the prevailing market price is. And that's really the only time we ever even mention demand curves when we talk about building up to a supply curve. It's really only a kind of a little aside. Basically, there's a market price. You can sell all you want at that market price, and you can't control that market price. It just is what it is. You can take it or leave it. We need a formula for profit. Profit is basically total revenue minus total cost. But what I want you to do, since we're going to be looking at average revenue and average total cost curves in our model, is I want you to use that second formula, the first yellow one. Profit, that's the Greek letter pi, which stands for profit. It's equal to our quantity, the amount of stuff that we make and then sell, multiplied by our per unit profit. And the per unit profit is just the average revenue minus the average total cost. A quick little tangent, a little aside about profit. This is a quote from Adam Smith from The Wealth of Nations. It's not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. The profit motive from an economic standpoint is not a bad thing. We're not talking about greed. We're not talking about making money in order to harm people. We're talking about the firm wants to earn a profit because the firm has employees that need to be paid, and those employees, they need money so they can make their house payment. We're talking about people who are running businesses because they want to provide for their family and make a good honest buck doing something for other people. And in this case, the person that we're talking about gets a meal in exchange for some money, and the people who provided the goods we need to have that meal, they did it because they wanted to make a little bit of money themselves. And Adam Smith basically argues that this is not a bad thing. Adam Smith is, of course, the first economist. He wrote that book, I think, in 1776. So it's kind of an old concept. Now, in economics, we take the whole profit idea a step further, and we say, basically, we're not here making products for the fun of it. We're not making products because we're nice people. We probably are nice people, but we're making products because we're trying to make some money, and we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to try to make as much money as possible. We call that profit maximization. So In economics, we model firms as profit maximizers. A firm is a business that's going to do everything they can to make as much money as possible. And in order to maximize profits, you have to follow the golden rule. And here it is, it's the golden rule. If I were taking this class, I would have put a great big asterisk beside this, and then 4 or 5 more asterisks, and then a giant star beside it. And I would write it in flashing neon letters or something. This is the golden rule of profit maximization. I've often joked with students and said that if you don't know the answer to any question on a test, put this in every blank and you'll get at least one thing right. You're going to need to know the golden rule of profit maximization, and that is profit is maximized when the marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. So if a firm wants to make as much money as possible, it will try to find the output level that will make this equation true. So it will set y equal to some magic number, and at that point marginal revenue will equal marginal cost. What? Wait a second, hang on. Let's stop here. If revenue equals cost, they're not making any money. If revenue is equal to cost, then you're breaking even. And that's true, but this isn't revenue or cost, it's the extra revenue or the extra cost. Here's how you should think about it. You're sitting here running a business of some type, and most of you are going to be working in a business of some type or working for yourself, and you should ask yourself this simple question: should I produce one more product? Should I work one more hour? And it's a real simple equation here that you'll use to make that decision. If the extra revenue you get is more than the extra cost, then it's worthwhile to make that extra unit, to do that extra thing. And if the extra revenue is not more than the extra cost, then it's not really a good idea. And when the marginal revenue is exactly equal to the marginal cost, making more or making less will reduce your profit. Profit is highest when MR equals MC. So I think this is the last slide of the video. Thank you for hanging on until the bitter end. More videos are going to be posted soon. Thank you.